Yo, what's up guys, it's Shady here, and today we're here with our week 9 battle of the APA Academy. This week we're going up against Steven and his Hartford Wailmers. Before we get into that, I'm going to talk about kind of these last 4 weeks and stuff like that. So basically, as you know, we get new drafts every 4 weeks. This is the last 4 weeks, so we have a new draft going into this. So let me read off that team, and hopefully we can go 2-2 these final 4 weeks, because if we go 2-2, that brings us at 7-5, and I think with that record, we should be able to just barely nudge our way into playoffs, with like maybe the 7th or 8th seed, depending on diff. But not like we have our work cut out for us, because we battle a gauntlet of Final 4 coaches, and we're starting off with Steven. Next week for week 10 we play Jacob and his Green Bay Pikachus. And then week 11 and 12, I don't know which one comes first, and but we play who I consider a good battler, and Diet, who I also consider a good battler, and who has been in like the top 5 seeds very consecutively this entire season. So we definitely have our work cut out for us this season, or these final 4 weeks. So hopefully we can clutch out at least 2 wins against these 4 and just slide our way just narrowly into playoffs. I think with 1 win, maybe, depending on how the other coaches do, we can maybe get in. But it's looking very rough for us. So hopefully we can come out with a win. I'm going to try to get some more help from people. I usually don't get a lot of help when I prep. I usually do it pretty much by myself. But I think we might have to recruit some help here. But nonetheless, we'll quickly go over the team we are bringing against Steven. But I'll read off our 6 as well as his 6 beforehand. You should see them on screen already. But we have now Zapdos, Milotic, Silvally, Ready Still, Mega Beedrill, Dugtrio, Mimikyu, Scrafty, Rotom Heat, Golbat, and Whimsicott. Kind of a weird team. Whenever I was drafting, I thought about my playoff team and kind of drafted the 4 mons that I felt fit the mold with some of the other mons from my previous 2 teams really well to make a decent playoff team. I kind of built in, so I prioritized those mons, or I prioritized 3 of them, and then one of the mons I kind of waited a bit because I didn't need to grab it too early. Those mons I think being Zapdos, Silvally, Golbat, and I don't remember the 4th one. I know I have it somewhere, pasted somewhere in a DM, so I'll have to go find that whenever the time comes, if the time comes. But yeah, that's our 6. Steven is packing Celesteela, Megalotaria, Victini, Amoonguss, Empoleon, Conch, Kelder, Alolan Raichu, Palossand, Skuntank, Porygon Z, and Armaldo. So it's a pretty scary team. And I'm also realizing now that I neither have the battle replay nor my team up for Steven. So I'm gonna quickly try to open that, but I'll read off what I can remember off the top of my head. First off, we're bringing Zapdos. It's pretty bulky. I think it has like 150 HP. Obviously not 150, that's not a multiple of 4. But like somewhere around like 152, something like that. And then just max attack with the Electrum Z. I didn't know what to run on it. I thought the Electrum Z would be kind of cool. So we're running that. It really puts a hole in his team. I think we're running like Thunderbolt, Roost, Toxic, Defog. I think it's the 4 moves. And that really helps with things like the Celesteela, we can switch that into the Empoleon, the Raichu, the Palossand, just a number of different things, and it puts a lot of pressure on his team. Especially, like I said, that Celesteela, it really helps out for that. We brought a Fizdef Flame Orb Marvel Skill Milotic for threats such as his Armaldo. We didn't really have switch in. Fizdef Skuntank, we didn't really have a switch in, or physically offensive Skuntank. Conkelder, and slightly Victini. Obviously Victini has a lot of coverage, and Milotic can't really deal with it too well. But we could take a couple hits and hit it pretty hard with the Surf, because we are bringing Surf this week. I think it's Surf, Recover, Toxic, Ice Beam. I don't know. I showed it finally loading, so I'll confirm these last 2 sets once it finishes loading. But we decided to bring Surf, obviously, because we didn't want to Scald Burn that Conkelder. and give it a guts boost if that's what he's bringing. So yeah, we have a Registeel. It's max Def AV. PZ, if it started setting up nasty plots and stuff, is very, very scary for my team. So max Def AV really stopped that thing. I think we ran Ironhead, Earthquake, because those are really the strong two moves to hit his team. Earn Seismic Toss, so I could hit that Celesteela decently hard. And then I ran Explosion just to see if I couldn't like catch something off guard and like really hurt it. So yeah, we're running that. Alright, sure enough, finally popped up. We do have the max Def Registeel. That was the 4 moves. I knew that. It was Thunderbolt, HP Ice, Roost, and Defog. I did not carry Toxic on my Zapdos, and it was 140 HP. With the static, we brought a my low Surf Ice Beam, Recover Haze, so no Toxic on that either. Haze, I guess, to stop the why would I run Haze? I guess just for the Mega Altaria, if it set up DDs. I guess there's that. We also had a Spit Def Rotom Heat, dealt with his Victini pretty well. Overheat, HP Ice, Toxic Pain Split. I tossed up HP Ice and Foul Play for the longest time. Eventually decided that this is my Altaria kind of switch in, and so I had like HP Ice in case he was special. It feels physical. Once you got up to +1, I think Foul Play did about the same amount as HP Ice. But if he was like maybe a Cotton Guard set, HP Ice might be slightly better to chip it down alongside the Toxic. So I did bring HP Ice over. You'll see how that matters later in the game. So yeah, there's that. And then we have the Mega Beedrill, just a standard offensive set. I was able to run Adamant this week with playing W turn drill run knockoff. Hit his team pretty hard, except for obviously that Celesteela. And then our last mon is a Dugtrio with the Arena Trap. With the Focus Sash, I just ran Sash just because I thought it'd help. Maybe it stops me from getting swapped or something like that. Earthquake, Sucker Punch, Stomping Tantrum, Stealth Rock. Earthquake, Sucker Punch were the only 2 moves I really needed. Maybe running Rock Slide wouldn't have been terrible, but in case he was Victini with Shed Shell, which is what I thought he would. And like he tried to go Celesteela, I could just click Rock Slide so I could kill the Victini. And if he went Celesteela, I could at least get a little bit chip on it. So maybe I should have ran Rock Slide. I ran Stomping Tantrum though, in case I like tried to Sucker Punch his, like I said, Victini, and he swapped out, it would fail, and then Stomping Tantrum would do double to whatever he came into. And in case he like lived an EQ but didn't live a Stomping Tantrum, that kind of weird scenario. And I just brought Rocks because I had nothing else really in my mind that I needed to bring. So that's what we decided to bring. He decided to bring the Conch, the Empoleon, the Raichu, the PZ, the Celesteela, and the Victini. It's pretty unfortunate that he brought the Celesteela. I was hoping he really wouldn't bring it. I thought Rotom plus Zapdos would scare him out of bringing it, but nonetheless he still brought it. In my eyes, I'm thinking that's just a standard, Guts AV, Conkeldurr, an Empoleon with like Rocks Defog to attack, a Nasty Plot, Alolan Raichu. The PZ really could have been anything Scarfed specs with either adaptability, download. Like PZ was up in the air for me, but nonetheless, Celesteela dealt with it, or not Celesteela, Registeel dealt with it really well. Celesteela, I didn't really know what to expect, like whether it was Subseed or like an autonomized set. I didn't really know what to think about it. And then a Victini, I was thinking probably Scarfed. I wasn't 100% sure though. Oh no, I wasn't thinking Scarfed. I was thinking Shed Shell. Shed Shell, like 3 attack maybe. I don't know, but that's what I'm thinking going into the game. I decided to lead Registeel. It matched up against his Empoleon lead to set up Rocks or Defog really well. It led against his Raichu to Volt Switch. It led well. Worst case, he led like Victini, that's the other lead I saw, but I just go under my Rotom. So that's what we decided to lead with. So let's go into this battle. We're challenged by Steven, and like I said, we're actually just going to lead off with our Registeel, as he is going to reveal with he's going to lead with the Conkeldurr, which is probably the worst lead I wanted to see. That's like the one mon I didn't want to see leading with. honestly. So here, obviously, I gotta swap to my Milotic, and I pray that he doesn't click knock off and knock off my Flame Orb, otherwise switching into this thing is gonna be so terrible. But luckily he just does click the Drain Punch, doesn't make any kind of plays or nothing. And so we're gonna get our Flame Orb to pop. Here I just click Surf to scout for that AV, see what the damage is looking like on that Conkeldurr, because I could always just recover the next turn thanks to our Flame Orb, as he's just gonna swap to his Empoleon. And that Surf is actually going to do a decent amount. I'm not sure what kind of Empoleon set he was. And after the game, he asked me if I had my Milotic attack investment. I told him no, so I was very curious as to what that Empoleon spread was. I never asked. But here I just go into my Ready Still on his Empoleon, which was a big misplay. I really should have gone into my Zapdos, since I was bulky, so I could take any hit from him. And he was likely going to click Rocks, and I could pressure him and get the Defog off immediately. Because I don't know how many opportunities I am going to get that Defog off with my bird, with my Zapdos, but I guess I went into Ready Still fearing the Toxic, and he ended up setting up the Rocks. So here, I decided to go into my Zapdos, or there I decided to go into my Zapdos, because it was nice against, in order to get that Defog off, as he actually just doubled out into Victini, and I really should have just clicked EQ, but I didn't, obviously, so he got the Victinian, as I have to swap because Zapdos is really nice against his team, and so I just go to my Rotom, the dedicated counter to this, as he clicks Sub, which at that moment I knew it was going to be a hard time winning this game, because I decided to bring HP Ice over Foul Play, and he didn't even bring the Mega Altaria, so I really should have brought Foul Play over it. Seeing the Sub, I thought he would be Work Up, so I did decide to go into hard on my Mega Beedrill. I could U-turn out, go to my Milotic and stack it, and just click keeping Surf so he couldn't get up another Sub, and then I could go to Trio or something to revenge, as he actually just went for the Bolt Strike on my Mega Beedrill and just completely KO'd me. I know I'm a little behind right now, but these turns are going pretty quick. But yeah, I'm just gonna lose my Mega Beedrill, which definitely basically told me that he was probably gonna be 3 attacks, and this game has gone from bad to worse in one single turn. Like, this battle is gonna be very difficult to win. Now I go my Milotic, and I just decide to spam Surf to get rid of his Sub, as he is Bolt Striked. Here he goes into my PZ, which, looking back at it, probably meant that he was scared of Dugtrio coming in and trapping him and killing him, meaning that he probably didn't have Shed Shell. So if I had recovered, that would have been amazing, and that honestly should have been my play. But I just clicked Surf to get, and I just get Chip on the PZ and die to burn. Here I go to my Ready Still, my dedicated counter 2 with the PZ, as he just goes into the Victini. I decided to click Seismic Toss because I thought that the Celestial would come in, but he just goes into Victini, so I really wish I clicked EQ, but I didn't. I really wanted to click EQ, and I really should have, but I didn't. I just clicked Seismic Toss. He wouldn't have been able to sub afterwards, but oh well. Here I decided to go into my Rotom, as he ended up clicking the sub, which I knew he'd be able to do, but I couldn't do anything about it. 2 max HP Victini, which is what I was thinking he was. I killed with 2 overheats, or I broke his sub with 2 overheats, but overheat plus HP Ice didn't kill, so I had to click it twice, break the sub, and then go into my Dougie so I could revenge. So that's my plan, as he just Dazzling Gleams and Bolt Strikes, showing me that he really couldn't touch my Rotom with this Victini set. So had I brought Foul Play, that would have been amazing, but I didn't. I'm gonna miss the second overheat, which definitely sucked, because I would have at least lowered the differential by going into Trio and killing this thing. Because at this point, I would need Steven to throw really hard, like throw out his back kind of throw in order to come back at this point. But he's just gonna quickly create, and so he saw his entire moveset. He really couldn't touch that set, so I really wish, I'm really kicking myself for not bringing Foul Play. But here I'm just gonna go into my Duck Trio. I have to, just to break the sub and kill this thing. Yeah, and I just have to let this thing go down, as he just clicks the V-Create and kills my Duck Trio. And so now I can go into my Zapdos, since I outspeed from the speed drops from V-Create. I could have probably gone in last turn, but I felt like stacking Duck Trio is best, because Zapdos could deal with his team better if I were to somehow make a comeback, or at least lower the differential a lot. If anyone could do it, it'd be Zapdos, not Duck Trio, since he has like Celestial in the back. But here, I'm just gonna click the Thunderbolt. Not gonna overpredict or anything. I really should have clicked the Z move. I really wanted to click the Electrium Z, but I didn't want to waste it on the weak Victini, as he just ended up swapping into this on the on the Thunderbolt. And as you'll see, he clicked Calm Mind, and so had I clicked the Z move beforehand, before he went to Raichu, he would have dropped to the Z Thunderbolt plus a regular Thunderbolt. But now that he has the Calm Mind boost, which I didn't expect, I expected Nasty Plot, so good bring with Calm Mind to get that Step boost. I no longer can't kill with the Z plus the Thunderbolt. I ended up clicking Roost, predicting the Z move to pop beforehand, before he ended up setting up. Had I attacked, that would have been a nice chip on this thing, but I didn't. And so now he's just gonna click the Z move, and I click the Z move as well to get damage off on this thing, but he actually outspeeds, which, you know, makes sense. Actually, doesn't make sense? Not really. I ran a good amount of speed, so I guess I got a speed creep wrong. But he gets it off first, and he just ends up killing me. He reveals the Sparkling Surfer, and that's going to pick up the KO on my Zapdos. Here I just go to my Ready Still. In order to get some diff down, I just clicked the Explosion I wanted this battle to be done with. And I prayed that he didn't go to Stone Still. He didn't. And we get the kill off on the Raichu, and we lose 5-0. I know I was a little behind in that battle, but those turns were going a lot quicker, and I had a lot to explain with the battle, so I'm a little bit sorry for that. But nonetheless, GG to Steven, who was 5-0. Could have been a 4-0, maybe, because I would have killed the Victini had I not missed the Overheat, but, you know, not a lot we can do about that, although the terms may have been a little bit different had I still had my Dougie around, because Dougie would have killed Victini, and then from there, like, what would he have done? Not much. Or he wouldn't have gone Raichu like he did. He would have gone to something else, probably the Celesteela. So, yeah, the plays would have been a little bit different, so maybe it still would have ended up being a 5-0. Maybe it would have been a 3-0. I definitely don't think I was winning that game, though. I'll tell you that much. But nonetheless, GG to Steven. We move down to 5-4. I don't know the diff. Definitely not too high, though. Yeah, that's not a good way to start those final 4 weeks. I'm thinking if we can win 2 of these battles, then if we can just win 2 of these battles, go 2-2 these final 4 weeks, that we can win. That we can go, like I said, 7-5, and that would probably be a good playoff record. We'd probably end up being like the 8th seed, since I can't imagine we'd have good diff losing to Steven like this. And I'll probably honestly lose to Jacob the same way next week, but we'll see how we do. Nonetheless, GG. Steven once again stays, you know, near the top of the standings. You know, I definitely knew coming into this week it was going to be very hard to win, despite the good matchup. And you know, you see what happened. Quite the wheelchair. So nonetheless, we're once again GG to Steven. Next week we play against Jacob and his his Green Bay Pikachus. So I want to thank you guys so much for watching. If you did enjoy, make sure that like button and the subscribe button. We'll be back next week with some APA. As you may or may not have seen, I'm not sure which one's going up first. UPBA, I'm uploading that now, and then next week we'll have APA LC to also upload. So we have 3 battles coming each week. But anyways, yeah, make sure to subscribe for more league content. Anyways, guys, this has been Shady. I'm out.